Net migration increased from 2021 to record levels in 2023, reaching 944,000 at its peak. Since 2023, numbers have fallen substantially. Net migration fell to 171,000 by the end of 2025, an 82% decrease compared to the peak, and the lowest level since the pandemic.
I thank the Noble Minister for that. My Lords, I would like to congratulate the government on reducing the net migration from its peak of, as the Minister said, from 900,000 to 171,000, an impressive reduction of approximately 82%. However, despite this significant progress, a recent opinion poll suggests that almost half the public still believes that immigration is continuing to increase. This misconception is being exploited by the right-wing political parties and risk creating unnecessary division and disharmony within our communities. What more can the government do to ensure that the public is made aware of the accurate immigration figures and better informed about the progress that has been made?
Yeah, Noble Friend makes an important point. Immigration is a very sensitive issue, but it's also one which is multifaceted. We have the figures on net migration which are falling. We have the issues around asylum claims which are being increased in their processing. We have the number of small boats which we're reducing, and we have to deal with that. And we also have the very valuable contribution that many people who've come to this country make, from doctors to bus drivers to factory workers to people involved in our society as a whole. So I would say to those on the far right who seek to exploit this, we are a cohesive, multicultural society. We have people here who are contributing, and we have certain challenges we have to meet, but this government is prepared to meet them.
Under the points-based system, many people came into this country with a variety of visas, but in the last 2 years, over 500,000 people have acquired British citizenship. What assessment has the government done of the Home Secretary's proposed policy change to extend the right to acquire ILR and I assume citizenship to 10 years in terms of the number of people gaining British citizenship in the next decade?
Well, we keep that matter under review, and as the Noble Lady will know, we've produced an immigration bill which was published in the House of Commons, another place, last week, which brings significant changes. We keep all these matters under review. I say to her generally, this government is trying to get control of migration issues across the board, control of citizen issues across the board, and we are trying to do our best to, if I dare say so, rectify some of the difficulties of the previous 14 years.
My Lord, so to declare my interest, I'm supported by the RAMP organisation. The Noble Lord the Minister has rightly put the contribution that migration brings to this country at the forefront. And it's in all of our interests to make sure that people integrate within our society as rapidly as possible. So I wondered if the Noble Lord the Minister could tell us what the government is doing to speed that process up, to make it more accessible, and perhaps I could refer him to the contribution of his friend Noble Lord Griffiths of Buryport, who has just produced a report on such matters, including the role of diasporas in the United Kingdom.
I'm grateful for the noble gentleman. I've not had a chance yet to see my noble friend's report, but undoubtedly I will, because I know he will send it to me if nobody else does. But I would say to the noble lord that we have to recognise that we are a multicultural society. The people who come to the United Kingdom historically have had ties to the United Kingdom from many Commonwealth countries. The people who are coming here are bringing skills and important contributions to our society. And we should recognise that and celebrate the differences and celebrate the different faiths and respect those differences. And the government is trying to, through my colleague, the Noble Lord Lemos, as the Faith Minister, trying to make sure that we do have that contribution as a whole. But it is a constant challenge to make sure that we recognise that. And one of the great challenges to achieve is to make sure we have a strong managed migration system so people can see transparently that it's fair.
Well, Lords, children coming into the country are an important part of our migration and our immigration. And might I ask the Noble Lord the Minister what scientific methods are currently now being used to assess the age of our immigrants, and how many appeals against those determinations have been upheld? And I declare my interest as previous chair of the Home Office Committee on Age Estimation.
I can't give the Noble Lady the exact figures on the appeals at the moment, but I will look into that and write to her. But what we are trying to do is to ensure that we do have age assessment through high levels of technology, and we are introducing now at ports of entry that technology to ensure that we can make a rough estimate of the age of individuals who are arriving in the United Kingdom as to whether they are below 18 or above 18. I will write to confirm all those details to the Noble Lady in due course.
Will the government have a computerised system in place that can accurately track both entrance and exits from the United Kingdom, and therefore give the government an accurate picture of who is here and what their status is at any one time?
It's a very important point, and it's certainly a really key issue to know, but not just who arrives, but also who leaves. And what we're trying to do is to modernise that infrastructure. We're looking at how we can use AI particularly now to improve the assessment of information that we've got. I will certainly reflect on what the Noble Lord has said and respond to him further on those issues as to what we are doing.
My Lords, the Health Foundation has just published a significant report with the latest evidence on immigration and the NHS. The report finds that the average person who migrates to the UK is more likely to work in the NHS, less likely to use the NHS, and significantly contributes to the NHS funds. Around 1 in 5 staff working in the NHS are non-British nationals. Can I ask my noble friend, the Minister, to consider this latest evidence, particularly when it comes to workers in the NHS and social care, because it does have some significant evidence in order to help our health and social care workforce?
Well, I'll certainly look at the report that my noble friend has indicated. And I also want to place on record my thanks and my value to all those who contribute to the National Health Service. As my noble friend has said, many of those originally non-British nationals, many of those now naturalised Britons who've come to this country. Their contribution should never be underestimated. That doesn't also, though, take away the fact that what we need to do is to ensure that those Britons who are currently unemployed, who are currently aspiring to work in the health service, can also do so. And what one of the objectives of the government programme on migration is to ensure that we build up skills and talent from people who were born in the United Kingdom of British heritage.
It has recently been revealed that despite the previous government placing restrictions on dependents for those on health and social care visas, people are still bringing in huge numbers of dependents. 12 such visas were issued to nationals of Cameroon, and yet they were allowed to bring 180 people with them. I do not say this, my lords, to make any great political point, but I'm sure the noble Lord the Minister agrees with me that this is just not how the system is supposed to operate. In light of that, does the government have any plans to rectify this situation?
I'm grateful to the Noble Lord for raising this issue. We have seen some reports of the question around dependence of health and care visa holders remaining exempt from surcharge and also bringing in family members. We're looking at this, but some aspects of the stories that are in the press at the moment are incorrect. And it's incorrect to link dependent visas granted in a given year with worker visas granted in the same period. I'll look at the issue that the Noble Lord has mentioned, but there are some inaccuracies around the issues that he's mentioned, not him personally, but around the reporting of those issues, and I will look into that and drop him a note.
What sustainable rate of net inward migration would the government like to see going forward?
Unlike previous governments, we're not setting a target on net migration. What we're trying to do, and which has been proved by my initial answer to my noble friend, is that we are trying to ensure that we manage migration in an effective way. That has seen a massive drop in the number of people on the net migration figure over what his government was in place. But if we set a target, we will do exactly what I said previous Conservative Prime Ministers have done throughout the last 14 years, set a target but put no policy objectives to achieve it and not take into account the needs of the British people and the British economy.
Back to the NHS. There is roughly 7,000 vacancies for doctors within the NHS. And if you look at the BMA's record, there's nearly 2,000 registered refugees who have a medical qualification, some of them waiting over 2 years for their asylum application to be processed. Wouldn't it be a good idea to have a system where over a period of time, if someone's asylum claim hasn't been processed, they're allowed to work, pay taxes and contribute to the country?
With respect to the Noble Lord, I prefer to tackle the problem from the other direction. I prefer to ensure, as we are trying to do as a government now, that we speed up asylum processing, we speed up asylum claims, we get some decisions on asylum, and therefore those who are entitled to asylum have it granted, those who are not are returned to a country of safety, and that we process that in a speedy way. We have put investments and resources into that, and I don't think it's right and proper to ensure that we have the possibility of work while asylum claims are being processed. What we're trying to do is to speed up that processing.